Hello there and welcome back to another installment of SCP Readings with your reader here, Gmo Dawn. Today we're looking at SCP-774. There's a link down in the description for you to follow along as I read out loud. SCP-774 is a byproduct of the halogenazide redacted when process redacted. When in contact with the skin, it permeates the body's tissues and selectively attacks bone, dissolving the bone mineral and leaving only the soft collagen. This can occur in minutes or over the course of days, depending on the degree of exposure. The only bone that is not affected by the initial reaction is the skull. However, shortly after the other bones begin dissolving, the anomalous properties of SCP-774 will manifest. Calcium leached from the rest of the body is deposited on the skull, creating grooves and ridges that grow from the interior and exterior surfaces of the skull, forming symmetrical patterns of increasing complexity that intrude into neighboring tissue, eventually erupting from the skin or growing to meet other bone tissue. These eventually fuse the bones of the skull, rendering the mandible immobile. The largest pattern observed so far is 2 meters across, induced by Procedure 17-A. Intrusions in the sinus cavities create whistling sounds in the subject's breathing, which rapidly change pitch and tone, though each skull has a different set of tones. The effect is similar to birdsong. While subjects affected by SCP-774 are unable or unwilling to communicate, their heart rate and breathing becomes more regular when able to hear other late-stage subjects. Subjects typically expire following the collapse of the ribcage or damage to the spinal cord due to the loss of the spine. However, artificial supports can be implanted, as per Procedure 17-A, prolonging life. Subjects kept alive after the complete loss of non-cranial skeleton can be induced to further growth by implanting new bone material. Subject SCP-774-17 has been kept alive 12 years at the time of this writing. Trace amounts of SCP-774 are still found in Subject 17's bloodstream. Addendum 774-1. Dr. Mann was able to induce growth in specific directions through careful breaks and cuts into the bone tissue. However, after several weeks, the new growth was destroyed and the former pattern reasserted itself. Addendum 774-2. Analysis of the whistling shows distinct patterns, some of which have been mapped to specific external stimuli. Dr. Mann has requested permission to vivisect a 774 subject for the purpose of examining continued function of the linguistic centers of the brain. Addendum 774-3. Subject 774-24 was isolated from the other test subjects. After several weeks in which its whistling grew more agitated, started producing viscous fluid from the tips of its protrusions, which proved to be further quantities of SCP-774. 2 researchers working in the room were affected. Once they progressed to the whistling stage, the bone stopped producing the fluid. Their patterns were identical to Subject 774-17 and 774-21 respectively, including range of whistles. They were termed Subject 774-26 and 774-27, following Procedure 17-A. Dr. Mann has decided to keep them isolated for the time being. Addendum 774-4. Following the renovation of Site Blank, Subjects 774-24, 774-26, and 774-27 were placed into containment with the other subjects. Shortly after, the growths of Subjects 26 and 27 began to rapidly reshape, bone being subsumed and reformed into different patterns, including whistles. Subject 26 is now identical to the terminated Subject 25, while Subject 27 shows a new growth pattern entirely. There's really not much that I have to say about this SCP, other than a comment on the Foundation's keeping the people alive even after they've been through so much bone deformity, such as the one subject that has been kept alive for 12 years. I mean, that's gotta be some agony right there. If anything, this SCP makes some pretty cool looking structures. Other than it being completely painful and fatal, it's pretty cool. But I guess you could say that if you ever get this SCP inside you, you are boned. So that has been SCP-774. Thank you for joining me on this reading. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.